Welcome back to another Pokemon Throwback Thursday, where every Thursday morning we take a deep dive into a vintage set. We are going in complete order, so the set we are checking out today is XY Phantom Forces. And we're doing a new thing now where we highlight a certain Pokemon every single week, and we look at their greatest cards in Pokemon history. We've already done Zard, Blastoise, Venusaur, and Mew, and now we are going to be doing Dragonite. And before we get started, we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Punch-Out Gaming. Punch-Out Gaming is my local game store that I go to, and it's the #1 game store in all of Minnesota. I've actually been to them all. Nobody can beat the variety. And they have a card show every other month, roughly. And they have a card show next month, which I will be there vending. This is going to be their first 2-day show. Each day will have 10 different vendors. It's going to be really fun. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. But all right, let's jump into it. We got XY Phantom Forces. This is one of the most expensive sets in the X and Y era. 119 cards, November 5th, 2014. So when you guys think of XY Phantom Forces, just think of Gengar. And when you think of XY Flashfire, you think of Charizard. You know, this is the Gengar set. Pretty fun little set, to be honest. Got some Mega cards. We got, I think, 4 or 5 Gengar cards. Even the basic EX is really, really cool. Yeah, the Megas are awesome. And it has one of the greatest full arts in Pokemon history. We got the Metatcg EX full art. And then here's that Gengar full art. One of the most expensive full arts, too. I mean, this thing is crazy. The colors, the texture, everything about it is literally perfect. And then we got the Malamar full art, and then the Florges full art. And then we got a couple trainers here. We got the AZ trainer, and then Lyssandra's trump card, Exorosic. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. And then we got the Metatcg here, the Mega Secret Rare. And then we got the Secret Rare Mega Gengar. But that is not all. We have one of the greatest cards in all of Pokemon history. The Silver Full Art Dialga. If you guys did not know, D Pocket Monster, this is his favorite card, and I think he has probably the most PSA 10s in the world. There isn't very many, but he has a ton of them. So yeah, here are your top 10 most expensive cards. As you can see, you know, 4 of them out of the top 6 are Gengars. And like I said, even that basic EX is now worth a good amount of money. But yeah, the Silver Dialga and the Full Art Gengar are your top dogs. It even says on Pokedata Raw 804 and then Raw 629. But all right, let's check out some prices. We're going to hop to eBay. We got a CGC Basic 10 for the regular Gengar EX for $375. Another one, but this is a PSA 10 for $490, your best offer. The Metatcg here, $3, just the regular EX. The Mega Gengar, not the Secret Rare, for $40. Here we got the Full Art Gengar, $500, 27 bids. It says near mint till lightly played. That's what I'm saying. This thing is expensive. Then we got the Silver Dialga here. 1 bid for $250. When I was buying them, they were around $150 to $200, and I made a bunch of videos about it too, and now they just keep going up in price. Next, we got the regular Gengar Raw for $40. That's the EX. Silver Dialga, $370. Buy it now. Another basic Gengar for $30, $45. One at $100. It says PSA 10 Gem Mint, but it shows a raw card. Another Full Art Gengar for $425. Here we got the Mega Gengar for $70. This is not the Secret Rare. That's for our best offer. Okay, we've seen enough of those. Full Art Gengar for $700. Wow. Then $380. We got a PSA 9 Basic Dialga EX for $1450. PSA 9 Silver Dialga for $1,900. 24 bids. Another one for Raw for $425. And then here is the Secret Rare Mega Metatcg for $21 plus $5 in shipping. And all right, I think that is about it. We'll check some PSA 10 sales. So we got the Silver Dialga. Last sale says it was at the end of 2024. I was going to hit up Deep Pocket Monster and see what he paid for his last one, because I know he got one recently, but he's so busy I didn't want to bug him. But last sold that I can find is $4,000 in a PSA 10. Next, we got the Gengar Full Art. So our biggest sale was in August at $11,877 in a 10. But our most recent sale was literally $77 less. So still right around $11,800 for this card in a 10. Next, we got the Secret Rare Mega Gengar. Our last sold in a PSA 10 at $7,800. Now we have the regular Mega Gengar. Same art, they just changed it up a little bit. We got a sale here at $3,525 in a 10 in September. Next, we got the regular Gengar EX. We got a PSA 10 sale of $625, $600, and we even got the Jumbo in a 10 at $576. Next, we have the Phantom Forces Sleeve Booster Pack. Last sold $253, $225, $150, $200, $140. And then We have the ETB, last sold 2,174, and it really depends on condition, of course. And before that was at 4,550. We got another one at 2,250, but we don't get a ton of sales. The last one on Pokedata was, in the middle of August. Next, we have the Phantom Forces booster box. Last sold $12,500, and that one's pretty recent, just a few days ago. Before that was at $13,266. So a very expensive booster box, especially if you compare it to like Unlimited Fossil and Jungle. Next, we got the Gengar EX box. This is where you get the big jumbo Gengar. Last sold, which was a few days ago, $449 and $375. All right, let's get into Dragonite. So these are all the Dragonite cards from Sword and Shield in the Scarlet Violet era. He got no love in the Scarlet Violet era, but pretty much the best Dragonite card of all time, the Dragonite V Alternate Art, is going absolutely crazy. That is moderately played. Last sold $459 with a picture, $384, $380, and it deserves it. I've been saying for years that this is one of the best alternate cards we've ever gotten. But honestly, they got some really cool basic V ones. We got the Pokemon Go one that looks cool. We got a promo for Sword and Shield for Pokemon Go that looks cool. This one, another promo, looks awesome. Not the biggest fan of the V-Star cards, to be honest. And we did get one Dragonite card in Obsidian Flames with the weird crown, and you can barely see his face. Not a fan of that. We got a couple nice newer full arts. Pokemon Go got one, and then Evolving Skies got one. And then we got our Rainbow Dragonite V-Star. Market price on that is $31. So not really a ton for modern Dragonites besides, the alternate art and, some basic Vs. Next, we have the Dragonite GX. This is a Sun and Moon Black Star promo, number 156. Not super tough to grade, 731 in a 10 and 608 in a 9. Last sold in a PSA 10, 400, 400, and then raw 70, 65, 63, 50. And in my opinion, these are some of the best collections you can do. If you have a favorite Pokemon, it's a blast collecting every one of their cards. Now, if you're trying to do Pikachu, Charizard, or maybe even like Mewtwo or Mew, it definitely gets tough because there's a lot of cards. As long as it's not like a top 10 or top 15 Pokemon, they don't have a ton of cards, and it's honestly pretty easy to complete a lot of these little master sets of every card of that certain Pokemon. Dragonite would be a super fun one to do. All right, next we have the full art Dragonite GX. Same art. This is from Dragon Majesty. And this one's pretty easy to grade, 489 in the 10 and 185 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, 399 and 400. And then raw 25, 46, 60. We got a PSA 9 at 49. Next, we have the Rainbow Dragonite GX from Unified Minds. Love this card. Last sold for this in a 10, 494. We got raw at 89, 113, 85. PSA 9 at 87, 96, 117. But yeah, I'm just a big fan of this one. Again, not tough to grade, 445 in a 10, 432 in a 9. Just not a ton graded. And then we have the same art, but just as the full art. The Dragonite GX from Unified Minds. Same pop, a little lower, but last sold in a PSA 9, 45, 24. We got Rot, 20, 30, 25. And then we got a PSA 10 at 152. But yeah, very, very affordable card. Next, we have the Dragonite GX from Unified Minds. This is just the basic GX, but I really like the art, the slash going through the card. Very nice. Last sold raw, $7, $6, $8. PSA 10 at $66. Next, we have the full art Dragonite from Furious Fists. This has a very low pop, only 20 in a 10, 133 in a 9. Last sold raw, 35, 30, 45. And then we got a PSA 10 sale here, which was a while ago at $1,586. Next, we have the full art Dragonite EX from XY Evolutions. I was always a huge fan of this card. I always felt like people were sleeping on it. I have a few of them, and it's finally getting some love. As you can see, it was $145 in a 10 in March of 2025. And now, last sold in a 10, 403, 400. Then we got raw at 32, 25, 40. PSA 9 at 61. Another PSA 10 at 375, but just love this gold card. Pretty high pop, 3,495 in a 10 and 4,500 in a 9 and 1,300 in a 8. Next, we have the Dragonite GX from Dragon Majesty. Again, a non-textured card, but pretty nice art. Got the big smile on his face. Last sold raw, 15, 7, 9, 12, and we got a PSA 10 at 135 and 123. Next, one of my favorite Dragonite cards, which was so slept on for the longest time, is finally getting a little bit of love. No joke, these are illustration rares. I don't care what anybody says. There's a ton of these, and a lot of them are still really cheap, but these are some of the first illustration rares that we've ever gotten before illustration rares were cool. But I mean, just look at that Dragonite punching into the ground like that. I mean, heavy impact. This thing is just sick. Very low, popping a 10, 31, and then 146 and a 9. But look at these prices. Last sold raw, 6, 15, 10, 7, 8, 11, 14. So cheap. But like I said, there's a handful of these cards. If I had to guess, I don't know off the top of my head, maybe like 35 of these cards that are like this, that are legitimately our first ever illustration rares and are still slept on. And we got a PSA 10 sale a couple months ago at $599. Yeah, this thing was $100 in a PSA 10 for the longest time. All right, next we got a couple really cheap Dragonite cards. I'm talking like $1 or $2. Doesn't even have any PSA 10 sales on here. But I mean, look at that face. Just so happy. And then the Sleepy Dragonite for Unified Minds. Big fan of this card. And there's a bunch of different versions of these cards too. Again, pretty cheap card. $2, $10, $9, $8. Next, we got the Dragonite card from Triumphant. There literally says pop 0 and a 10. I couldn't find any PSA 10 sales. I just like the art. And last sold raw, $8, $20, $15, $10, $9. Next, we have the Dragonite Holo from Legends Awakened. Pretty sweet art on this one too. Last sold raw, $32, $29, $50, $90, $65, $100. So this one can definitely get pretty spendy. And there is a Staff National Championship version 1. And last sold for that one in a PSA 10, which was a long time ago in 2024, $1,125. But this is definitely one of the coolest, probably rarest Dragonite cards you can get is this Championship Staff one. I never ever see it in person. If I would see it in person, I would definitely buy it. Next, we have the Delta Species Dragonite Holo with a pop of 86 and a 10, 242 and a 9, and 226 and an 8. And last sold raw, 120, 104. We got a PSA 10 sale at 1,375, a 9 at 315, and the PSA 10 sale before that was at 1,600, and then 1,276. Very cool Dragonite. This picture sucks. It does not do it justice. Next, one of my favorite Dragonite cards on this list, the Dark Dragonite from EX Team Rocket Returns. This is a reverse holo. You guys know I like the reverse holos better. Pretty low pop, 54 and a 10, 199 and a 9. Last sold raw, 225, 335, 310, 435. We got a PSA 9 at 1,614 and 1,447. And we got a PSA 10 sale here at the end of 2024 at $2,375. Probably worth double that now. Next, we have another Delta Species card. This is a Dragonite EX from Dragon Frontiers. And I love the green on this card. If you guys did not know, Delta Species kind of changes the typing of the Pokemon. As you can see, you know, it's all green. But love this card. Has a pop of 30 and a 10, 258 and a 9. Last sold raw, 100, 44, 98, 225, 400, 200. Very tough to find clean. We got a PSA 9 at 400 and 493. And we got a PSA 10 sale here at $2,699. And we had one at $3,500 before that, but that was a while ago. The newest sale, a few months ago. Next, we got the Dragonite EX. This is an e-reader card. This is from the Dragon set. PSA 10 pop 123, PSA 9 520, and then an 8 505, 322 and a 7. Last sold raw 100, 235, PSA 9 at 830. We have a 10 here at $4,827. This card just sparkles in person. Next, we have another e-reader card. This is from Expedition. And remember, there's a reverse holo and stuff of this card. But this has a pop of 36 in a 10, 336 in a 9, 492 in an 8. And last sold raw, 75, 352, 87, 248, 150. Again, these prices just depend on condition. But most of the near mint ones are over $200. We do have a PSA 9 sale here at $1,364. And then we got a PSA 10 sale. This is the reverse holo at $1,500. We got one of the holo in a CGC Basic 10 at $1,770. And another one at $1,800. Quite a few CGC 10s for sure. All right, next we have the Dark Dragonite. This is from Team Rocket. This is the first edition. Remember, there is also the unlimited version, which is much cheaper. But last sold in a PSA 9, 650, 147, 622. We got raw 192, 275, 589. And last sold in a 10 is $5,901. It says a pop of 5. Next, we have the Dark Dragonite Legendary Collection Reverse Holo. Again, they have like a holo version of this in the same set. So there's like 5 different copies of this card. It says a pop of 44 and a 10. Last sold raw 450, 263, 249. PSA 9 at 1500, 1237. And then more basic CGC 10s. It's weird how people like to grade with CGC more on these older cards than they do for PSA. But we got $2,500 sale, $2,375. Back at 9.5 at $2,300. PSA 9 at $1,600. Yeah, these cards are very tough to find in 10s. Next, we have the Light Dragonite. And I forgot, let me know down below your guys' favorite Dragonite card. And then also let me know what Pokemon you guys want to see next. I think next week might be Rayquaza. So, yeah, that's going to be a super fun one. Now, again, this card comes in unlimited and first edition, but this is the first edition. And last sold in a 9, 999, 1,000, 710, 1,009. We got a PSA 10 at 4,057. Then raw 320, 294, 292, 400. Next, we have the OG Dragonite. This is from Fossil. So this card comes in, again, unlimited in first edition and non-holo and stuff. But I am actually a bigger fan of the non-holo over the holo. And I used to just sit and draw this card, but look at the colors on this non-holo Dragonite versus the holo version. Everything gets kind of muted when it gets to holo, but I mean, look how like gold that is. The colors just pop, the purple, the green, the yellow, the orange. And then, you know, for the holos, it's just, you can barely see it. So I've always been a massive fan of some of these non-holos for these earlier Wizards of the Coast sets because the colors are just so much better. So here is the first edition non-holo, 524 and a 10, 1,233 and a 9. Last sold raw 49.30, PSA 9 at 155 and 200. And we got a PSA 10 sale here at 700. And before that, it was 1,375. And then before that, it was 661. So that's kind of a crazy jump. Next, we have the Unlimited Dragonite Holo. This has a pop of 61 and a 10, 1420 and a 9, 3,385 and an 8. And last sold raw 100, 60, 40, 45, 60. PSA 9 at 350. And we got a 10 at $3,272. Next, we have the first edition Dragonite Holo. This has a pop of 234 and a 10. So, I mean, there's less Unlimiteds than there is first editions, which is crazy. And then last sold raw 190, 120, 178, 300. PSA 9 at 970, another one at 955. And we did have a PSA 10 sale here at $8,101. Next, we have the Dragonite Wizards of the Coast Black Star promo, number 5. Pretty goofy little Dragonite. Big fan of this one. This is for the movie, I think. Yeah, the first movie. Last sold raw 16, 12, 15, 30, 36. PSA 10 at $1,000. Before that, it was $873 and $750. All right, next we're checking out some of the Topps Dragonite cards. We got one here that sold for $1,500 or best offer in a PSA 10. This one's pretty sweet. This is probably my favorite one here, the TV Spectra PSA 10. Love this Topps Chrome card. That sold for $821, and then they just have like the movie edition card one right here. Not too bad. And now we're getting to some of my favorite cards on this entire list, and that is the Japanese cards. Check out this Dragonite. Always wanted this one in a PSA 10. It's so beautiful. Just never really seen it in person, and it's getting very expensive, but last sold raw 185, 225, PSA 9 at 699, 650. We got another raw here at 498, and then we got a PSA 10 at 1,999 and 1,088. Next, we have the Lance's Dragonite. This is from the Versus set. Again, a Japanese exclusive, super cool card. I really feel like the Versus set is the most underrated set in all of Pokemon right now. This has a somewhat low pop, 430 and a 10, 303 and a 9. Last All in a 9, 290, 240, 329. And then we got Raw at 60, 110, 92. And then we got a PSA 10 here at $489. Next, we have the Claire's Dragonite, again in the Versus set. Just look at that art, look at that face. Similar pop. Last sold in a 10, says 322, but it doesn't have any info here. But before that was at 393. Then we got Raw 28, 72, 41, and 38. Then we have one of the cleanest Dragonite cards ever. This is the Game Boy promo. Check this thing out. We had a PSA 7 at 170, Raw at 44, 43, 39, 78. Definitely going to be closer to $100 if you want this thing, you know, not just completely chewed up. And we got a PSA 10 sale here at $1,175 with 26 bids. And that was not very long ago. Next, we have the new Chinese Pikachu Psyduck card, but there is a Dragonite in the background. So I'm counting it. Love this card because of that Dragonite, actually. Just makes it that much better. See if we can get a little bit better picture here. But yeah, big fan of this card too. Loving all the Chinese exclusives. And to end it off, we got some Dragonite seal products here. So we got a couple different tins. This is a Walgreens exclusive, I guess. Not too bad. But the best looking tins, we got the 151 tin and then the Kanto Power Mini tin. Look at this Kanto Power tin. I mean, that art is beautiful. I'd love to get a card of that. And then he has a few other boxes here. He's got a Dragonite EX box, a Dragonite V box. He does have the Kanto Power box. This has, I think, 10 XY Evolution packs in it. And then the Pokemon Go box has Dragonite on it too. So he does have a decent amount of products. Nothing super crazy, I guess. You know, the Kanto Power box is probably your craziest item. You know, that's getting close to $400, but I really like the Dragonite EX box too. You know, the color, everything, the jumbo on there. I hate that there's Steam Siege in that box, but whatever, it's still not too bad. All right, that was today's Pokemon Throwback Thursday. If you guys do like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. And I do have to mention I'll be at Seattle Card Party next weekend, so definitely come say hello. I'll be doing meet and greets, and then I got to do pack battle on stage, I think, and then I got to go on the big main stage, and then I'm even doing something else live that I'm pretty nervous about, but it should definitely go pretty good. It's going to be a really fun time for sure. And then too, if you guys want to watch my last Pokemon What If Wednesday, which was a super crazy one, I promise you, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.